learn 3 different methods of graphing. And so the first one we're going to do is graph by plotting points. So we want to be able to graph a linear equation by plotting points. And to do that, we're going to make what we call a table of values. Okay? And I've seen the tables drawn differently, but I'm going to do mine vertically. So here's our example. We have the equation y equals 2x minus 3. And in the last video we talked about there's an infinite number of ordered pairs that will satisfy that equation, okay? But so we can't list them all, we can't find them all. I mean, you know, there's an infinite number. But what we can do is we can draw a line that represents those ordered pairs. And that's what we want to do here. So that's what we mean by graphing a line. It matches to a particular equation. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make what we call a table of values, like I said, with an x column and a y column. Now, in this case, we're going to pick an x value. You can just pick any number you want. I would pick a number that's fairly small because you want it to fit on your graph paper. So maybe I'll pick, -3. And maybe I'll pick 0. And maybe I will pick 4. Okay, so those are just random numbers I picked. You could pick other numbers. Again, I would pick them fairly small, and I would pick integers in this case. It'll be easier to work with. And then you'll notice I chose them this time all for x. You know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to change my 4. I'm going to choose it for the y. And we'll see what happens. Okay. Now, when we're graphing a line, when we're graphing a linear equation, we want at least 3 points. Okay. So let's go ahead and plug in. What we're going to do is we're going to let x equal -3. So for the first one, I'm going to say y equals 2 times -3 minus 3. And we'll see what we get. So we get y equals, and now you have to do these calculations. Be very careful because it makes a big difference when you go to graph them. So 2 times -3 is -6 minus 3, which is going to be -9. So what that means is when x is -3, y is -9. That's the match. It's like match.com. -3 matches to -9. That's the ordered pair. And we're going to graph that ordered pair. Okay? We can do that right now. So 3 to the left and then down 9. So it's going to be right there. That's that ordered pair, -3, -9. Okay, now we're going to do a second point. And so we're going to plug in 0 for x. So we get y equals 2 times 0 minus 3. So you go to the same equation, because this is that's supposed to be at 0. It's that equation that we're trying to graph. And then what do we get? Well, 2 times 0 is 0, and 0 minus 3 is -3. Okay. So now I can graph that ordered pair, and I don't always write the ordered pairs out to the side. Sometimes I just take them off the table of values, but that's what the table of values is representing, is these ordered pairs that we're finding. So what we're finding is a solution to the equation. One of the solutions was when x is -3 and y is -9, graph that point. Another solution we found was 0, -3, and we're going to graph that point right now. So 0, -1, 2, 3, it's right there. Okay. Now on the third one, I had chosen 4 for x, but then I changed that. I thought, let's do something creative here. Let's make it for the y. So you can do that. You can put 4 in for y. Oops, I just wrote that wrong. You can put 4 in for y. And so I'm going to have 4 equals 2x minus 3. So what I have to do then is I have to solve this equation for x. But we know how to do that from chapter 2. So we can add 3 to both sides, get 7 equals 2x, divide both sides by 2, and so you're getting x equals 7 over 2. So I can write it as 7 over 2 right there in the x column. And now that ordered pair then is going to be 7 over 2, comma 4. Now when I go to graph that, I'm going to think 3.5. Okay, so that you know how to graph 7 halves. I think we talked about that earlier, but okay. So I want to go 3.5 to the right and up 4. So 1, 2, 3.5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Look right there, about. Now those points that we've done, they should line up because this is going to form a linear equation. Oh, you know what? It looks off a little bit. I think the very first point I graphed, I'm off one. Darn it. Okay, so let's fix that. Scoot it over where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be right there. Okay, that looks a little better. And you might want to get a ruler. You just try to draw a straight line that's going to go through those ordered pairs. You just make your points bigger if you need to. Anyway, I'm just teasing. So the 3 points that you get, they should line up. That's why we want at least 3 ordered pairs. Because 2 ordered pairs, one of them you could have done wrong and you wouldn't know. But 3, you got to have all 3 of them line up. These are linear equations. So I've had students sometimes on tests and they get a point here and a point here and a point here. And they're like, oh, yep, I can connect the dots. Yeah, but that's not a line. So don't do that. They have to line up. If that happens where your points don't line up, well, you'll have to go check them. One of them's off, so you don't know which one, but you could find a 4th point, and that might tell you. If you have 3 of them lining up, you'll know which one's off. But anyway, practice graphing. It's an important skill. Okay, so here's another equation that we're going to graph. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get a table of values. And this time I'm only going to choose x values. Partly because I have a fraction in there, but also because y is by itself. So if I choose x values, all I have to do is the calculating on the right, and that will give me the y value. Now, I see that fraction in there, so I'm going to pick numbers that will help me out. I'm going to pick things that are divisible by 3, because I get to pick whatever number I want for the table of values. I just want it to fit on my graph paper. So maybe I'll pick -6. And usually 0 is a good pick. We like to see what happens when x is 0. You don't have to pick it, but I'm going to. And then maybe I'll pick 3. So -6, 0, and 3, they're all divisible by 3, so that's helpful. Let's see, and I like to pick like one negative number, 0, and then one positive number. I usually like to do that when I'm making a table of values. Again, you don't have to, but it's nice to kind of see what's happening both with the negative values and the positive values. Okay, so what we have to do is 3 ordered pairs. So first, we're going to plug in -6. Y equals 1/3 times -6 minus 1. Or y equals, now that I'm going to get a -2 there, because 3 goes into 6 2 times, but it's negative. So -2 minus 1, and that's going to be -3. So be real careful when you're doing those calculations. Don't rush through it. It's easy to make a mistake, and then your points are going to be off, and you'll be not getting the line the way you want it. Now we're going to do our second point, so we're going to plug in 0 for x. 0 is great because 0 times whatever is just 0, so we get -1. And then finally for our third point, we're going to plug in 3 for x. So we get y equals 1 minus 1, or y equals 0. Now I know I went through those calculations kind of quick. You can rewind the video if you need to and look at that more closely. Okay, so when x is 3, y is 0. Those are 3 ordered pairs then. And like I said, I don't always write them in the ordered pair notation, but you can. Here I am, now I'm doing it. Taking a little time. Okay, so now we're going to graph those 3 ordered pairs and hopefully they'll line up. So maybe I'll do them in a different color. It might be easier for you to see. -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the left, and 3 down, 1, 2, 3. Make sure I get it in the right spot this time. And then 0, -1. So 0 meaning don't go right or left, just go down 1. It's right there. And then 3, 1, 2, 3, but 0, so don't go up or down. So those are the ordered pairs. Sometimes they'll label them in the book, but you can write the ordered pairs if you want to. I don't usually do that because it's kind of in my way, but you can, just so that you know what the ordered pairs are. Anyway, do they line up? Yeah, they line up pretty good. And then you just try to draw a straight line. A ruler will help. Okay.